Middle managers have the worst jobs in all of industry and professional life. It is just terrible, and I've talked at length about it before in this on this program, where they have a responsibility to translate the orders and directions from senior leadership down to their folks that work for them, and then translate exactly how those orders and directions were not quite right or what's missing back up to management in order to get, equipment, funds, etc., to get things right in order to make it work. They're in a constant state of getting information, translating it, and then retransmitting. It's just terrible. They're in a constant state of translation, but they're also in a constant state of dealing with constraints. Well, one of the issues that has been coming out that senior management has tried to do is figure out how to remove layers of middle management. And you see this going on in a lot of large tech companies over the last couple of years. I mean, they've just been releasing middle managers left and right as far as layoffs. And when it comes to small businesses and it comes to those, smaller businesses, there's very important to have that level of middle management. And what they're discovering though is that there are many more small businesses that are not only removing middle managers, they're doing so at an accelerating pace, which has second and third order effects that as someone who helps coaches businesses, I know they're coming. I know what's going to happen, and we're going to talk about it a little bit here today. Now, with this, we're going to look at an article from Axios where they are showing the number of reports that, direct reports that people have per manager and how that number has been growing near exponentially. Then we're going to talk a little bit about how that affects the individuals that work, the baseline employees, what it looks like for promotions, what it looks like for training and development, and how this is probably a um, short-sighted attempt to try to save money that in the long term, most businesses are going to have to end up um, fixing and redoing all these things. So, with that, for those who don't know, my name is Ryan Howe. I'm a business coach and exit planner that works out of West Michigan around the country. And I come here live on YouTube pretty consistently every single day, sharing information I share with my clients. And I hope to earn your subscription. So, let's get into this article today. Now, this is from Axios. As always, link is in the description. Be sure to go check that out. Middle managers fade as AI rises. This is from Emily Peck. The average number of individual contributors per manager at small businesses. So this is where they did some 8,500 businesses. They did Gusto, which is an HR platform. And ladies and gentlemen, that is pretty darn close to a hockey stick chart right there. Now we've had, where they're dealing in this level of, around 3.5, 3.2, and then you just see where we've almost we're at the point where we've almost doubled in the last 4 years, the number of direct reports that individuals have. And what that means is that there's less middle managers, all right? And there's a lot more to that. So let's get into the article here. The above chart may explain why your boss is taking longer to get back to you, lady. She's got a lot more underlings to watch over, 100%. People managers now oversee about twice as many workers just 5 years ago. Middle managers, i.e., bosses who have bosses, were already quietly going extinct. That's true. Now AI may be hastening the process. There are now nearly 6 individuals per manager. It's happening broadly across the economy. And that's Nick Tremper, a senior economist at Gusto, told Axios. For small companies, a lot of this happened through attrition rather than replacing a manager as an existing one. One will just see an extended scope. So basically what that means is, hey, Steve's gone. Now you have Steve's, the folks that used to report to Steve, now they report to you. And we're going to take some of the administrative stuff you did, and AI is going to take care of it now. And it's been referred to as in big tech called the big flattening. Now, I am not against flattening out your overall management within an organization. Like there's within companies here, when I come in and I start working with companies, typically what it looks like is you have a very flat organization where you have one boss and everybody reports up to that one boss. That's one aspect that I come in with. Very, very flat. It's a horizontal type organization and very inefficient because everyone has to talk to the boss, right? That's where everyone's talking with. When and then the other version is where I have a business that'll have 17 layers of hierarchy where this boss reports to this boss to this boss, and it's just up, up, up. And that's also not good. So there needs to be like that happy medium. And the best businesses are always growing and shrinking their overall hierarchy. Like it's in a constant state of flux to match the needs at any given time. They're not locked in. Um, they're not locked in permanently, like, "This is our organizational structure." No, this is our structure for now. We can adjust as needed, right? And what is happening now, again, a lot of the tech companies, they were really, really deep with all these management positions, managers of managers of managers, and now they're flattening it out some, which isn't terrible. My worry is that they're gonna overflat, which is gonna get up to here, and bad things happen. Like, bad things start happening when too many people are reporting to one person, which is typically burnout for that manager, and also frustration for the workers. Okay, let's get back into this here. Now, again, big tech has been shedding, like we talked about here. It's not totally clear that AI is replacing the work managers do. Instead, the headcount reduction seems the way to cut costs, particularly as companies spend huge sums on AI. And that is one of the issues that we're coming across right now is where you have managers where the workload isn't necessarily getting transferred over to AI in some places. It's being just transferred to others because again, they're spending money on AI. There are areas where it is absolutely making an impact, and we're going to talk about that. But for right now, a lot of places that I come in and I'm working with, they still haven't figured out how to use AI correctly. So they're spending all this money on these large language models and not really getting any of the benefit from it. All right, now reducing management layers is one of Microsoft's stated goals and laying off thousands of workers this year as it ramps up. Again, they just let 9,000 folks go. A lot of those from the gaming areas, but they're still workers. We've got Andy Jassy reducing management out of Amazon, Google. They got rid of 10% of their vice president manager positions. Meta has been flattening since 2023. It's been a long-term strategy for them. Now, the state of play. Small businesses in the service sector, including restaurants and other hospitality businesses. And when I was working for basically a gourmet donut chain, a chain of gourmet donut shops, we went through one of these phases where we reduced some management. Um, the issue we came through is it was affecting the overall customer experience. So we immediately reinvested and brought them back. We weren't slow about that. We tested it out and brought it right back. Now, these companies need to find a way to cut labor costs as wages soar, and that's what they've done. Now, AI may allow for more flattening to come. Again, we talked about these technologies freed up managers' time as the direct reports turn to AI for help instead of their manager, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. One of the things, especially where with my direct reports I've had over the years, and this has been a standard, if you don't know what to do because the process isn't outlined correctly, i.e., what you should do in each step for your work, that's my job. I have to fix that as the manager. But if you're not sure, if you need help on researching within as part of your job, that was when I always said, "Hey, go do all your work first and then come have a conversation with me and we can see what we can do to make things better." Now that you have AI, you're able to go through and really help with a research assistant and do those things. The need to go to the manager for direction on this, I do like the fact that you can have AI to help with those things. I think that is pretty important because a lot of that was, "Hey, what do I do in this? Where do I go look for this?" Well, this is where you go look. Okay, got it. And that's an experience thing. If we can hand that off to AI, even better. Supervisors are also increasingly using AI to automate managing. And that's one thing that I absolutely have been working with Claude with my AI on is how to better manage my overall um, connection and communication strategy with my clients, with vendors and my peers to make sure that those the nurture cycle for my potential prospects is happening. So that's something that I do use AI on to help me make sure I'm keeping my touch points where they need to be. But I don't know exactly what they're trying to do with it here either. Now, again, when they talk about flattening here, that's something we got rid of that when you do have a manager, you that productivity does go up. Now, I don't know if it's the type of productivity that we want because the manager is constantly poking folks. That speaks to more about the work itself. However, for many people, it's really important that they have a manager that they can connect with every single day to make sure that in case they need something, they have someone to speak to and advocate for them. And that's really where middle managers shine. So when I'm advising my clients, there's a few things that I always remind them on their management team, specifically in their middle manager role. What is the role for middle management? And I tell them time and time again, the role for middle management is multiple has multiple responsibilities. First and foremost, it is to make sure that to again make sure that our teams are executing. Like that's one thing we want with our management team. The middle management role is also there as a developmental position. You need to get a whole bunch of reps under your belt as a middle manager before you move into a VP type position. You have to get the reps in, having those difficult conversations, learning how to communicate with people. And it's because of the dual channel relationship that management has as basically the employee journey. When you are, and we're gonna put it kinda I'm gonna try to do it this way. I'm not sure if it's gonna work with my hands or not here. So on this hand right here, this is the amount of work that you do physically as far as tactically doing the work day to day, right? It's time to start doing work and I'm gonna do work. When you are a first line employee, everything you do is physically doing the work. You're just there to execute on what the process is. And when it comes to managing information flow and doing those things, it's down here. Okay. As you move into middle management, less doing the actual work, more managing information because businesses run on information and translating that into work information up and information down for the employees and also for the managers. As you move into VP role, you're doing less and less actual work and more into information management. And if you try to make the jump from down here doing the actual work all the way up to here without having some time to practice and learn that skill set, you are going to flounder because you do not have the enterprise level knowledge to know to anticipate what questions to ask, to understand the different communication styles that you need to have, and frankly, just know what information is important and which information isn't. There's a lot of red herrings that exist in the data sets that are out there for these companies, and you need time to be able to learn what to pay attention to and what not, and what is just noise. That is one of the roles for middle managers. So when I'm advising my clients and we're talking about this, my number one advice to them is make sure that you are not sacrificing your executive team's knowledge and experience 5 years from now to save $10 now. You need to look at that as an investment. And my worry right now is that with so many of these businesses that are trying to flatten out their organizations just to flatten them out to save some money, they are we are going to create a excuse me, there's going to be a void of of knowledge that is going to be required 5 years from now in order for these companies to effectively run, and we're gonna end up with a productivity, freeze that is going to have severe consequences down the road, okay? So with that, be sure to go check out this article from Axios. Again, they did a good job on this one, just kinda laying that out, but I cannot overstate we're seeing more and less managers, and that we don't know what negative effects that's gonna have, but I'm certain they're out there, and the best run companies right now are looking at how to manage that appropriately, okay? So, thank you everybody who hung out this long,